Get ready to level up in fantasy football.
Ladies and gentlefolk, it is another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. It is your host, FF Mike Cash. I am joined by my good friend, Evan. Evan, how are you doing?
Pretty good, Mike. Good to see you again, bud.
Dude, every day that I see you, my day just gets a little better. But
likewise,
I don't know if you guys are looking on YouTube, which if you're listening to Spotify, go check out the YouTube page. We're joined by special guests, JJ Schultz, Dino NFL. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you guys? I'm pumped to be on here. Like, really excited, but looking forward to this show for like a couple of weeks now. We planned this out, so finally got the combine here this last weekend. It feels like we're getting back into draft season. Man, life is good.
Yeah, forecasting out these guests is a good time, and we've had a couple of great ones, so we're stoked to have you here.
I appreciate it.
First and foremost, I want to get an admin note out of the way. I've been saying that this is the Gardner Minshew role for a little bit. Unfortunately, I am going to have to step into my Nick Foles role. Corey had to step away from the show because he got an amazing career opportunity. Our love goes out to Corey. He's still going to run all the RPG leagues for us. He's just not going to be on the show unless he decides to guest. So if you know him, shoot him a message, tell him congratulations. And otherwise, it's just me and Evan from here on out. Cool.
We'll pick up the slack.
You've already started to learn how to download videos, and what more could I ask for? JJ, real quick, do you want to tell the people where you're from, what you're working on, and kind of like what your credentials are?
So I do everything right now over on Fantasy Six Pack. I'm one of our Dynasty guys over there. So I mean, really just everything Dynasty related right now. Like the 2 weeks ago, I just finished putting out like a 4-part series where I wrote down like a breakdown of my Dynasty tiers. I went through like 365 total players, ranked them all out by tier, and kind of had breakdowns on how I'm approaching like drafting and trading and how I'm trying to build teams off of them. So just finished up that. So that's over there on the website. And then right now getting into rookie content. I think I just got through 101 prospects where I've at least got in and at least watched like one or two, all 22 cut-ups on them. So just getting prepared for the rookie draft. But yeah, Fantasy Six Pack. And then if you follow me on Twitter, Dino NFL, everything I do, I tweet out through there, plus lots of other good stuff. So follow me over there.
Very cool. Text me after this. I have a promo code for you for a film lab.
Hell yeah.
And also drop your rankings. We will include them on the video replay of this. So if you're listening afterwards, look below. I'll upload it somewhere. Mm-hmm. Cold open. Evan, you are perfectly equipped for this. A common last place finish for fantasy football, which you would understand what that's like. Describe how you would attack the Waffle House Challenge. For those of you that don't know, Waffle House Challenge, you have to eat a waffle, takes an hour off. Once you get to 24 hours, either in time sat in a booth or with 24 waffles eaten or a combination, you can leave. Evan, how would you do it?
Yeah, so I think my attack would be triple stacks at a time with a nice 1 hour nap in between the triple stacks, because I'm very good at napping at any place. I've been known to fall asleep at 4th of July fireworks shows. I've been known to fall asleep at hockey games. I've been known to fall asleep at monster truck rallies, wrestling events, basically anywhere that there is a surface that I can either sit in or be horizontal, and I will be asleep if I'm tired.
Okay. My man's is just snoozing and eating. How many you think you could get through, like 12 waffles?
I think I could do 4 3 stacks, and then I think I would order a 5th and just kind of trudge through whatever's needed. Yeah.
I got you. JJ, how would you attack the Waffle House Challenge?
So great question. Really, though, the preparation for me would start the day before, I think. Because I'd have to start fasting like around probably noon, I think. And then I would go with your strategy of napping a lot the day before. So by the time I've woken up, I've been on like an 8-hour slumber. I haven't ate in 12 hours. So I'm going there like ready to put down some waffles, right? First thing I get there, I'm with you. I think like a triple stack. And I'm probably just going to get some stuff that like I really enjoy on the first one. Like we're big waffle people in our family. Like we eat waffle, like chicken and waffles for dinner like once a week probably. Mm-hmm. So like this is right up my alley. So yeah, that first one I'm going to go in there. We're going to just get like a nice big stack. We're going to enjoy it. And then I think after that, it's bringing kind of an iPad, and then I think hour gaps are the way to go. But then after that, I'm like going Kobayashi style, where I'm ripping off the waffles, dipping them in water, and just
There you
straight
go.
patch. And we're going to try and get some hours off. And I'm going to do that as much as I can, break, and then just, get the iPad out, read a little bit, and then dipping them back in water again.
Very cool. Got Uncle Steve tuning in. Yum waffles. Great comment. The way that I would go about this, I would eat a waffle, maybe drink a little coffee, and then try to make some like trades or something. I would be like watching TV, making trades, like really doing things to pass the time, so that I feel like I'm just like eating a waffle slowly, and it just feels like I'm munching on it over time. So you never get completely full, but you also aren't like sitting there and not making progress. So see how long that would work. Hopefully I don't come in last. My little brother came in last the last time that we had a punishment. So shout out to Jay. All right. We actually have news and notes because franchise tag are back. Re-signing players are back. So we're just going to run through the fantasy football relevant ones, say good, bad, and different. JJ first. T. Higgins, franchise tag by the Bengals. Good, bad, indifferent.
Good overall. Do you want me to expand on that, or just quick ones?
I would love to just say good, but we should probably say why it's good.
Okay, so good. I actually went on a different show a couple weeks back and was talking about T. Higgins. I mean, if you're just talking about a guy that's coming back on a 1-year deal to bet on himself with a quarterback like Joe Burrow, who just had the year from hell, like the worst year of his life, like that's a guy that I am betting on having a monster season and then getting the bag next offseason. So, I mean, like outside of, like Chiefs or Buffalo, which wasn't really super realistic, like I think this was close to best case scenario. Yeah.
Now is the time of year where we mock every receiver to Kansas City, Buffalo, maybe even like Baltimore. And then they end up signing with the Panthers. So next up, Indianapolis Colts. They went ahead and tagged Michael Pittman Jr. Evan, good, bad, indifferent.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, their play calling in that offense is incredible. Love everything that they're doing. He's getting Anthony Richardson back for this coming season. They're going to be making a run at the AFC South. And then he's really the only one that was going to be that free agent. So the entire core gets to come back. You get team stability from that aspect, from a team standpoint. And then from a fantasy standpoint, you get a lot of consolidated targets. I mean, he was heavily targeted. Clear number one is going to be able to keep that role.
I think this is great for the team and great for Richardson. Pittman probably could have gotten an upgrade somewhere with, rushing quarterback that Richardson is, but maybe he takes a big year 2 jump, and now you're getting Michael Pittman wide receiver 1 season.
With JT back healthy, hopefully.
It's going to be fun to watch. I can't imagine that. I mean, the Colts haven't been must-watch football since Peyton Manning was there. And they're must-watch football.
I mean, you have to imagine teams are going to be looking for the run with JT and Richardson. I mean, it should create more opportunities for more one-on-one situations.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Downs is no slouch either across it's like that Colts offense. I'm in on their offense.
Yep. Yeah. Very much so.
Great best ball targets too. The rest of these guys, Josh Allen, Brian Burns, that's Jags Josh Allen, not the other one. Justin Matabuke, like all of these guys are for your IDP folks. But a couple guys re-signed. We have Dalton Schultz on the Texans. 3-year deal. He's with CJ Stroud. JJ, you're nodding. You're excited. Tell me, like, is Dalton Schultz, are you buying him in Dynasty? Are you sticking with him? Like, where's he flushing out in your ranks?
Yeah, so I like this signing here. I was actually out in the field working today when I saw the news. I was a Cowboys fan, so it's always like a little bittersweet to see Dalton Schultz be doing stuff with other things on other teams, but it has not stopped me from yelling out Cousin Schultz every time he catches the ball or does anything in general on Sunday. So that part's still fun, and my wife really enjoys that. But no, I mean, 3 years. I haven't seen the exact breakdown of the contract. I saw it's at least being labeled as a 3-year deal. So I mean, anytime we were attached to him with CJ Stroud for 2+ years, never a bad thing. We saw what he could do there. I think that offense is going to take another step forward this year. Obviously, CJ Stroud going into year 2, another year with Nico Collins, Tank Dell. And now Schultz gets to kind of be that safety valve underneath. So I like it for his value there. I'm buying at this point. I think even as I think he's 28, I believe we're going to be 28 this year. I think he's still got at least 2 solid years where he's going to be a top 12 tight end.
Sweet. If I gave you the 204, you taking that or Dalton Schultz?
204, I'm probably still going to take the pick there. But in a tight end premium league, that's about where like I think you kind of start considering that.
I think that's about where the line is. So cool. Next up, Evan. I'll let you talk about Mike Evans. Nice. You like that? Resigns with the Bucks. He's probably going to end up retiring there. Good, bad, indifferent. What are your feelings?
Yeah, I think it's good as long as we get a re-signing of Baker Mayfield. I think it's pretty close to a foregone conclusion at this point. But at the same time, you got to have a little concern. I mean, he's not already re-signed, hasn't already been brought back, didn't use the franchise tag on him. So it's all lessons for concern. We love Kyle Trask, right? Kyle Trask podcast.
Number one.
But yeah, in all seriousness, he's got to have a quarterback that can get him the ball. He's the very clear number one target in that offense. He gets so many touchdowns every single year. He's a very touchdown boosted wide receiver. I'm not going to say he's touchdown dependent because there's no way, shape, or form that that's the case. Yep. But you can still get him super cheap. And I think somebody out in your leagues may be selling him for even cheaper, being like, oh, he's with Baker again. Well, he could have gone so many better options.
Real quick, what's wild to me, I was doing an underdog best ball draft today. Like, he was going outside the top 15 to 20 wide receivers. That feels irresponsible.
Yeah,
so
a lot of room for profit there.
Yeah. So Mike Evans is a target. Similar question to you, Evan. So would you rather have the 111 in this year's draft or Mike Evans?
111.
Interesting. Check your inbox later.
Okay.
All right. That covers all news and notes, unless you guys have any hanging opportunities, and we will dive into our topic of the week. Combine risers. All right. We love to watch guys run fast in shorts. If you've been listening to the pod, you would know that Jalen Wright was going to be fast forever. I will be honest. I had to look up how to say Isaac Guerendo's name. So we did not know he was going to be that fast, and I'm very excited. But real quick, JJ, who is your number one combine riser out of the weekend?
Number one. That's tough. I mean, obviously, Guerendo going from basically a guy I didn't even realize to a guy that I'm like, hey, I know him now. That's pretty big. But if we're gonna talk about somebody else that's like a little bit more relevant for fantasy, I think it's got to be JJ McCarthy, man. I was already going in and I was like, I think his floor is about pick 15. I don't know that he makes it past 8 with that Falcons pick. Like, I don't know if the Falcons make that pick or if they trade it out, but I'm getting to the point now where I think that his floor is close to pick 8. I think he's pretty much locked in as the quarterback 4 as his floor as well, too. There's some talk about him maybe being up as high as QB2 on some teams' board out this weekend, which that seems a bit too much to me, but I mean, he threw the ball well. Sounds like he killed the interviews, weighed in closer to 220 pounds. And it didn't look like it was just fluff muscle either, too. Like, it looked like he actually put on a decent amount on his frame there. So, I mean, JJ McCarthy, man, I mean, it's no better job than being a quarterback in the NFL in terms of like that paycheck. And he may have just earned himself a couple extra million with that performance this week.
Yeah. So what was crazy to me is even watching the drills, I didn't think JJ really did that well, but the like narrative around him shifted. It used to be you were listening to sports pundits talk and they were saying like, it's very clearly a 3-man race. And then over the weekend, they were like, JJ McCarthy has some serious steam. And now that you're listening to more tuned in people than us, like people with sources, he's top 15 pick. That is locked. That is his floor. There's a lot of like very early warnings that he's going to be a top 10 pick. Like, so maybe the performance wasn't that much of a riser, but like the buzz is real. We should all be buying in. And self-plug, go check out the film study. I think JJ McCarthy's good. Evan?
I'm with you.
Are you buying the McCarthy stuff, or what are your thoughts around? It's weird. Like, he looked fine. What are your thoughts around McCarthy's combine performance?
Yeah, I mean, his combine performance was fine for me. I mean, I think I kind of expected him to be an athlete. I mean, he came out being known as an athlete coming out of high school. We knew what he was doing over at Michigan. He didn't really get a ton of second half attempts in the entire this past season. He didn't really have to do much. And you look at the times where he needed to step up, for the most part, he stepped up. So I think it was a pretty good foregone conclusion based off of really diving into everything that he was going to be a top 20. I think the combine kind of continues to push him up in that trajectory. Probably top 12 is what you're most likely looking at.
Yeah. Somebody just commented something that I actually want to hit on. He threw the ball 60 miles per hour at the combine. Hilarious. Like Joe Milton is touted as this guy that can absolutely sling it. He's absolutely nailing it. And he throws it 62. And I think McCarthy threw it 61. So
wow, I didn't see that. That's crazy.
He's got the tools. So he's got the tools. He's got the responsibility. He's got the winning record. He's got the efficiency on third downs. Like there's all sorts of things to love there. But this isn't just the quarterback podcast. Evan, who is your number one running back riser from the weekend?
Man, running back riser for me. I mean, I know I had a lot of question marks around Jalen Wright because of his production profile and because of the offensive scheme that they run in Tennessee. I knew he was going to be fast, though. So I think that kind of solidified that as the case. Marshawn Lloyd, though, coming back with a clean bill of health was really important for me. And I was really excited to be able to see that. Coming out freshman year, incredible, time. Looked really good at South Carolina when he was playing there, and then transfers to USC, has a good final season there. And he absolutely, in my opinion, just lit up the combine. And I think he is going to be able to make a play for a top 5 running back in this class. Top 4, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. The thing that was important, like you hit on that health, like some of his history there is concerning. Coming back with a clean bill of health is amazing. And moving forward, the top 4 guys in this class are probably going to sneak into day 2 and like get day 2 draft capital. We're not going to see a Bijan Robinson. We're not going to see a Breece Hall. But like we could see a Rashad White that they just find themselves in a role where they own a backfield because there's no one else. Like we could find a Brian Robinson. And I think there's a couple of guys that really showed that they have at least the measurables to take care of that. What was cool to me is Marshawn Lloyd weighing in at 220.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
No, I thought 205, 210.
That's crazy. 220 running a 4.4. Like that's moving.
Yep. No, he was cooking with gas. I'm going to hit on my darling, my love, my longtime gal, Xavier Worthy. I already knew he was fast.
Did he have a good weekend?
He had a pretty okay weekend.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he was going to break the combine record. I didn't think 4.21 was in his bag. I didn't think he had that going. So to see him go out there, really break the record, he did weigh in small. So we're including him in the risers because everyone and their mom now knows who Xavier Worthy is. Like I had my coworker be like, "Hey, did you see that Worthy fella?" And I'm like, "You don't watch football." So yes, I did see that Worthy fella. But no, great performance. Amazing to see. If he's going to weigh in at 165, he better run that fast. And he ended up with a over 9 relative athleticism score. Shout out Kent Lee, math bomb. So crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. I'm excited about it. I think that he's Deontay Johnson with a jetpack on.
Ooh, I like that.
And I love Deontay Johnson. So
I like that.
Yeah. That's my wide receiver riser. JJ, do you pick a position? Do however the spirit moves you.
So I'll pick one receiver here. We'll stick in that area right now. And so for me, moving it back last year, I was all over Zay Flowers. Like I think he's my most owned player, and I'm learning that I like that type because I came up with a lot of Jordan Addison, a lot of Tank Dell. So like the smaller but thick receivers, like I got a spot for those. So Malik Washington out of Virginia, from Michigan State before that, he had a very good weekend. Had I believe the highest vertical out of any receiver, 42 inches. Ran a solid 40.
Crazy.
I don't have the exact number, but he was good in the 40. I want to say he's top 10 receivers there. Went really well in the gauntlet. You saw the route running, you saw everything that he just was smooth out there. So yeah, highest vertical, 42 and a half inches for all receivers there, and a 4.47 40. And so he's definitely he's short, but he's not small. Like he's built nice. You saw the athleticism there. He's a guy that I think that's going to be there in the second, third rounds, maybe even into round 4. But he's a guy that I'm going to be buying up there. He'll be probably a late second, third round pick for dynasty drafts, and I'm going to be snatching him up everywhere until everyone else catches up on him.
Yep. Really important thing for him. This is probably the most important stat for a wide receiver ever. He did 19 bench press reps. Yeah. Super important.
Yeah.
No, but we love to see a guy that can compete. And also his analytical profile is through the roof. Like his yards per route run against man, yards per route run against zone, both of those, like normally you see them leaning one way or the other. Like he is straight up in the upper right quadrant, which just love to see
we
it.
saw like Jaden Reed this year when they were together at Michigan State. Like he put up numbers that were right on par, if not better than Jaden Reed that the year they were there together. So it just kind of gives you an idea of the type of player he could be in the right offense.
Yep. So fired up about Washington, fired up about a lot of these players. Evan, we'll just bounce around. Who you got? Running back, tight end? Does the spirit move you in a certain direction?
Yeah, I mean, the guy that everybody was talking about, I mean, this is pretty much a layup, in my opinion, of a choice here is Rome. I mean, you look at the catch radius that he had.
Yeah.
You look at him sticking on the field, getting frustrated with himself, knowing that he can do better.
Yeah.
Like just continuing to stay out there, looked fluid, looked good. I mean, he solidified himself as the wide receiver too. And, you know, Neighbors not really testing. I still have Neighbors as 2, but I mean, we've been saying it's 1A, 1B, 1C this entire time, and he 100% confirmed that it is 1A, 1B, 1C.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I had it 1A, 1B, 2, and then that's another tier break. Like Rome was an island on his own. I didn't think he had this in his bag. This upper tier athleticism that he showed, you're not supposed to be able to do that at 6'3", 212.
Yep.
So he is a supercharged Chris Olave, and in the right system, he's going to be a top 6 or 7 dynasty receiver by the end of next year. Which
I was going to say, I was just pulling up player profile while we were talking there. 93rd percentile speed score, 83rd percentile burst, 86th percentile agility, 97th percentile catch radius.
It's crazy.
I mean, we're touching on everything, 80 plus percentile.
And all of that's after we're talking about how he's one of the most refined route runners in the class. Like,
yep,
those two things don't. You either like get bad habits because you're such an athlete, or you win with your like skill and nuance because you don't have that. Full package. So
while we're bringing him up, though, I want to bring up something that's been interesting that I've been talking about a little bit.
Oh, his dad?
No, not with that. At what point do you feel comfortable in a super flex draft taking these wide receivers over the quarterbacks?
Oh my Lord.
Because look, think about this though. Like, how many times recently have we seen an early quarterback with draft capital bust? You can't trade Bryce Young right now for a first, not happening. You can barely get a mid-second for him at this point. So, you know, are we going to take a chance on quarterbacks? Or are we going to say, oh, they may not have the ceiling for these wide receivers, but they definitely have more insulation because we're pretty dang sure that they are hitting?
If we want to dive into the game theory of this, it's an amazing thing to go about. So let's say that 1 is the exact value that you get for having a like upper quadrant player. So that's like your Josh Allen, your Patrick Mahomes, your Lamar Jackson. There's no receiver that can truly hit that.
Yes, agreed.
And of these quarterbacks, I think the top 3 all have a capability of hitting that. Mm-hmm. So now like their percentage is like, let's say 2% of 1. And then like the bell curve starts and then it comes down. You're looking at, if you are looking for the upper range, it's instead of a full bell curve, it's almost like a pair of humps, which is great for me to be doing on a video podcast. But it's like there's a high percentage they completely bust and there's a high percentage they're completely good. These receivers, it's almost shifted to the middle like a regular bell curve would look. So if you're just looking for a base hit, if you have a bunch of these picks, if you have 3 of these picks and you already have a quarterback, I would strongly consider going 2 receivers and a quarterback as opposed to 2 quarterbacks and a receiver.
Yeah.
Just
look, I'm with you. Like,
just to build out.
Roster construction standpoint, how many times this past year would you have traded AJ Brown for Trevor Lawrence, or even flip it, Trevor Lawrence for AJ Brown?
I think that's tough because those are 2 guys that are tanking in value right now.
Well, right. I mean, they're both tanking in value. They both took a hit in the second half of the season. They both came in as very high.
Yeah, but I think you would have
coming into the season.
I think you would have flip-flopped them a couple of times, if I'm being honest.
So
yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, the sting of not getting that CJ Stroud, though, I mean, that can last forever in a super flex league. Like when not, and like Bijan didn't even bust, but if you could go back, is that Bijan owner going to take Stroud over it in a super flex league if they can do it again? I mean,
right.
Nope.
it's tough, man. That's a good question. I think the right move there is hopefully you're in an active enough league that you can trade back a few spots, pick up another pick down the road, and then get your wide receiver there. Let one of the other quarterback needy teams come and grab one of those guys.
100% the right move there. But the moment that I'm at 102, 103, like I'm going to start thinking about receivers.
Sure.
From Brock Bowers. That was a lovely aside. Evan, thank you very much for leading us through that thought experiment. But we need to get back to combine risers. So just real quick, I'm going to talk about Trey Benson. He was my running back 2 in the class. The more that I think about it, he is my running back 1 because of the value that he is going to bring immediately. I can't wait for a Jonathan Brooks to turn into what he's going to turn into. I don't have the patience or the roster construction to do that in most cases. And if Trey Benson at his age, at his profile, comes in and he is even medium, he's going to be worth more than Jonathan Brooks in October. So just a little bit of game theory there, a little bit of just excitement. Like 4.39, he runs like it on tape at that size is not a common occurrence. Everybody's going to want to pull aside like Trey Benson's combine with Jonathan Taylor's combine. Looks good. Looks good. Not the same prospect, but very exciting. I'm going to take Trey Benson as my biggest riser. 1 from a mindset shift, and 2, he's so goddamn fast. It's got me hot and bothered. JJ, any thoughts on Trey?
Yeah, so he going into the combine, he was my RB2, but I had him in like a second tier. So like I had Jonathan Brooks alone, top of tier 1. It was close after this weekend. I'm putting them both together in tier 1. Like I'm still going to take Brooks just because I think when he's healthy and right, like I think he's going to be another level above even what Benson's going to be. But for everything you said, not many teams have the ability to draft somebody in probably the high second round by the time we actually get to draft season and then just sit on him for a while, especially when there's going to be a guy like Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Wright that's going to be sitting there that's going to give you those points right away in week 1. So I do acknowledge that. So I moved him up into tier 1 with Brooks. So I can kind of acknowledge they're on equal footing. I still give a slight lean to Brooks, just playing the longer game there, but like I get it. I think they're going to go back to back in a lot of drafts this year. I think once you see one of them get drafted, you'll see the other one go the next pick or 2 after that.
Yeah. I just think we've seen the Dynasty community when somebody redshirts a year, like Kendre Miller last year. The door got closed because he was hurt to start the year. And then nobody's starting over Kamara as a rookie. So like, would you rather have Kendre Miller or would you rather have Devon Achane right now? Yeah. Would you rather have Kendre Miller? Would you rather have every other running back in the class that you've seen do it on an NFL field? It's nice because there's a little bit of insulated value because he's protected from not playing. So we don't know he's bad yet.
Yeah,
that's a start. But no, it's just an interesting thought experiment. JJ, who is your next riser from the weekend?
Yeah, so we'll just real quick, just Theo Johnson. Like I think he had like the second highest raw athletic score ever for a tight end. I think I saw that. So he had some on film. He had some times where it's like, man, he's kind of a little bit sneaky athletic, and so the metrics there back it up. But the main guy I really want to talk about, Ricky Pearsall. Another guy that came in right there underneath Lake Washington, had a 42-inch vertical, another great showing in the 40. And another dude that just absolutely crushed it in the gauntlet. Like one of the smoothest performances I've seen out there. Like you're talking about, like we were talking before, show, like seeing like Coleman kind of coming out and rounding out on some of those. Like that was not the case with Pearsall, man. Like he's legit. I think that he's going to sneak his way into the second round of the NFL draft by the time we get to April.
Hilarious, because I actually guested on Out of Rhythm Fantasy. They're in the comments section. They're probably laughing at me right now. And first thing to start the show, I looked at him and I said, this is an NFL player. I'm not worried about him for fantasy football. Goes out here, crushes combine. He's in Daniel Jeremiah's top 10 receivers. He's climbing draft boards, blah, blah, blah. I still think like a late breakout receiver that is doing it in the way that he's doing it is not for me. But he's turned enough heads that I need to start adjusting and figuring out what I need to do. So, yeah, he looks great. he had more time to practice. He's older than George Pickens. Do with that what you will.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm gonna be excited to get past this year when we're past like the COVID throwing.
Oh, the like late guys,
normal college schedule. I'm excited.
Yeah, like Tua's little brother, who's like 33 years old, trying to play in the SEC again. Crazy. But all right, cool. So that's Ricky Pearsall, JJ's wide receiver 2 in this class. Thanks for clearing that up. Evan, who you got?
Yeah, since JJ already kind of hit on it a little bit, but I want to talk about Theo Johnson. I
figured you had more on him than I did once I saw your reaction when I said that name. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pivot here.
Yeah. Being a Penn State homer, Penn State fan, grew up over there, watched tons of Penn State. The coaching staff even came out and said that last year was their best group of tight ends that they've ever had on campus as an entire group. Like, we're talking about Tyler Warren as well there, Theo Johnson, year before, Brenton Strange. We're talking about a bunch of Penn State tight ends that have come out and can really make a difference. And then you see Theo Johnson at almost 260 pounds, 259 pounds, do what he did from an athletic standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
Look, okay, the guy didn't hit, but the hope was there for ASJ coming out of college at Washington. All right. Incredible athlete at his size, just seems like a freak. And yes, it didn't work out for ASJ. Yes, I had a ton of ASJ shares back in the day. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, Theo, I think, is going to make a play because he is a good blocker as well. He's not a slouch when it comes to his blocking. He can get down in the trenches. And when you make that argument against Sanders doesn't want to block nobody. All right. So can you make the argument for Theo with this combine participation, what he showed here, to make an argument for tight end 2? You going to push back, Mike? You're the Texas fan here. How much do you want to push against that claim right now?
I don't think I need to push against this claim because I honestly haven't watched enough Theo Johnson. So okay. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't want to like draw a line in the sand and say like Theo Johnson cannot be this person because I wasn't watching a lot of Penn State. The receivers weren't really declaring this year. Like, just watching Drew Alar for next year. Like, don't care that much.
And Singleton and Allen. Like, come on, Katron Allen.
It's running backs.
Yeah, running back season, baby.
I know. Fired up. But tell you what, I will do a film study on Theo Johnson and whether or not I think he's the tight end 2 this week.
When you're watching that, remember Penn State cycled 3 tight ends consistently over the last 2 years.
Yep. So we'll see. There's a long line of Penn State tight ends that have worked out. There's a long line of Penn State tight ends that have been just not used in college, and then they pop in the NFL for a little bit. So I don't hate it, but you know what I love? Speaking of Texas, A.D. Mitchell, baby. You have to follow along with the storyline for what A.D. Mitchell was, like what brought him to the place that he is today. Started at Georgia, dealt with some injury problems, then wanted to be closer with his daughter, then wanted to like go through all these, like there's a whole backstory that you just need to give him a little patience. Then when you watch him on film, at times he looks like the best football player that has ever played at football. Like, he's jumping over dudes. He's routing guys. Like, he's finding blind spots and manipulating defenders at every level of his route. And then there's plays where he goes, ball isn't coming to me. So then he just stops running his route. And then Quinn Ewers, because he's a goddamn American hero, decides to throw him the ball anyway. And then it's an interception. So whatever you thought about A.D. Mitchell ahead of time, you still think about him. You either think that he is raw athleticism with a bit of laziness, or you think that he's like an amazing football player that just needs to be unlocked with a little bit of patience and coaching. I don't know what side of that argument I'm on yet, but man, the potential is there. He is oozing with it. In a 6'2", 205 with a 9.97 RAS, I'll take a swing. Especially in the late, like 202, I'll take a swing. Any pushback on AD?
No, I'm with you. I mean, I don't agree with the CD Lamb comps I was seeing getting thrown around on Twitter this weekend, but I do like him. He was a guy. Originally, I was going through my list of winners. I just put down Texas wide receivers because both him and Worthy had very solid weekends.
100%. I'm going to go look for a graphic that I made real quick. Yeah. While I do that, you want to talk about your riser? You got any more risers?
No, that's it. We touched on Jalen Wright, so he's my other one.
Cool. Nobody wants to talk about. Have we talked about Brian Thomas Jr.?
I was just about to bring up Brian Thomas.
Talk about Brian Thomas while I look for my AD Mitchell funniness.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stake the claim that he solidified himself as the wide receiver 4 in this class this week. I think he was in high consideration as the wide receiver 4. I think it's pretty much locked in, and I think this combine experience, what he did there and what he showed really made the 108 significantly more valuable in most leagues. The 108 was really that turn point for a lot of people where they're like, okay, there's seven players right now. Okay. Now there's maybe talk of JJ getting in there on top of it. So you may be pushing, exactly, JJ. Yeah, you may be pushing to 9. So now all of a sudden, if you have league mates that weren't quite tapped into the combine and they just hear, oh, there's 7 players that you really want in this draft, may be the perfect time to go send those 108, 109s. I mean, you're going to get somebody that's going to look at JJ, that's going to love what he provides. They're going to look at what Brian Thomas Jr. provides. And I mean, how can you deny the athleticism? How can you deny what he did in that offense? I mean, 98th percentile 40-yard dash, 99th percentile speed score. I mean, just what else is there to say? He was a production monster, even with Neighbors being there.
He just happened to be with Neighbors. I saw like a tweet that went back a while ago that had like videos. There was just like the Brian Thomas like stories. Like he gets open just like a few seconds later than Malik Neighbors. There's so many clips where he goes, he gets separation, but the ball's already on the way to Neighbors over there. It's just like that team, man, they're good.
I found the picture, but yes, Brian Thomas Jr., amazing, insane, not a real human being. He's not from this planet. But AD Mitchell is George Pickens with a rocket booster on. So that's important.
More than CD. I like that.
Yes, the CD didn't really make sense to me. It's because they both have dreads.
Yeah.
Classic. Cool. Does anybody else have any risers? I mean, there's Isaac Garendo, the 999 Raz that made us all Google who he was. Film study coming on him soon too. But you guys want to get into fallers? It's not as fun.
Yeah, I don't like being negative, but we got to do it.
Yeah. Right? All right. Well, if you don't like doing it, I'll let you go first. You're welcome.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So, man. So being out here in Oregon, there was 2 of them that I would put on this list that were losers, unfortunately. Troy Franklin, coming into it, he was my wide receiver 4, and I was even like trying to talk myself into bumping him up above Rome. That's not going to happen. I mean, I think you're right. I think he's firmly dropped below Brian Thomas Jr. I think AD Mitchell kind of has a conversation there now. The final 40 time, like it came out okay, but like it wasn't great. Like you said, like the first 10 yards, he was slower than like one of the safeties out there. He weighed in super light, struggled through the gauntlet, like he was stumbling around a few times. So like he went from like in contention to wide receiver 3 to like he's a clear tier or 2 down for me. And then Bucky Irving's the other one. Really disappointed in the 40-yard dash. He's already known as not a great pass blocker. So if you get to the point where maybe he's not quite as athletic as we thought, and he's not going to be able to protect the quarterback, it could be tough for him to get on the field. That all being said, like I don't want to overrate 140-yard dash, so I'm still buying. He's still my RB3 in the class. But rough weekend for the Oregon boys, that's for sure.
Absolutely brutal. And it broke my heart because I love Bucky. I think that contact balance is going to like carry over really, really well to the next level. It just wasn't there.
Which is crazy because Oregon's like the track capital of like the world. Like, how did they do bad in this? Like, there's so many people that are at the school that they're at that are like track genius. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Here, just for fun, I'm going to name some of the players that are around Troy Franklin in the 10-yard split. Jared Verse, edge rusher, 254 pounds. Kalen DeLoach, linebacker, Ben Sinnott, tight end from Kansas State.
Ben Sinnott, though. Love my guy, Ben.
We love us some Ben Sinnott. However, he is 250 pounds, and Troy Franklin is about 70. So not great. Basically, he's in there with a bunch of tight ends, edges, and linebackers. Chop Robinson obliterated everybody, but that's fine. Yeah. He got smoked by Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson's like 7 foot Jesus.
He needed to convert to tight end at one point to make it in the league. And he went slower than him.
Johnny Wilson smoked most of the receivers, which Johnny Wilson loved him, but I just wish that he wasn't trying to catch like he had lacrosse sticks for arms. But no, it's just the 10-yard split for a receiver is pretty important. And the fact that he was so slow down there, it makes me concerned about his ability to deal with press, which is something that Oregon did a good job of hiding him. So now it makes me think that he might actually struggle because that they were hiding him as opposed to, oh, it's just a part of the system. Don't worry about it. Like they had to let him get up to speed so that he could take the top off the defense. So Evan, thoughts on the Oregon boys, or you want to get into one of your followers?
Yeah, I think real quick on the Bucky Irving thing, I personally wasn't expecting him to run super fast in the 40 because I think he's very much a more quick twitch type of guy. I think he's a small, in a phone booth, make you miss type of guy, bounces off tackles, contact balance, as Mike alluded to. So I don't think the long speed was his game. And I think in watching plenty of Oregon games, you didn't really see the long speed as much as you probably wanted to. So yeah, I wasn't super surprised by that, but the 10-yard split on Troy Franklin absolutely was just flabbergasted by. I was not expecting that at all, which definitely raises a red flag for me and definitely is something to highly consider as I'm moving forward with the process. Yeah.
Real quick on Bucky Irving. He ran. So first of all, he weighed in like a middle schooler. Then he ran medium for his size, like pretty bad for his size. And then he is the most electric running back in the class at changing direction, making guys miss in a phone booth. Like that, his 3-cone and his shuttle should have been out of this world, but he skipped them.
Yep.
So like, I don't know if this,
he's going to do them at the pro day though. He 100%. And you're seeing this more and more, which I posed the question previously, not in this episode, but before, how many more times are we going to see these guys just say that they're opting out and say, I want to do this on my home field. Like I want to do this on the field that I know underneath my feet. I don't want to be injured for my pro day. I don't want to have to pull up in training. I want to be able to do things that I know that I'm not going to pull something. I'm not going to hinder myself for my pro day when I'm catching passes from my quarterback, from somebody that I know. I'm doing routes, running the ball, showing concepts. I'm able to do these drills on my home field, which I think is a huge benefit for these players.
100%. Another huge benefit is that it's not like a laser timed thing. It's their buddy Fred clicking the stopwatch. So I think I ran a 4.140 the last time my wife clocked me. So pretty fast. NFL, if you're hiring, give me a call. But speaking of slow 40s like mine, Audric Estime, we got to talk about it. We have to. I don't even want to talk too much about it. He ran a 4.71. I did a quick study of like the last 5 drafts and tried to figure out what are some of the thresholds. Like at what point are people getting drafted? There's not a running back that was drafted with slower than a 4.62 40 in the top 100 picks in the past 5 drafts. That's bad.
Yeah, that's not great.
So with that, he's probably going to go day 3.
Yeah, for sure.
And more importantly, JJ, would you rather pull? These are going to be 2 guys that are tied together probably for the rest of their careers because they were the same draft class with a similar body build. Pull an Audric Estime and run a 4.71, or pull a Braylon Allen and skip the run, but then do the jumps and be mid?
That's a good question. I think on that one I'm going to go Braylon Allen, but like I don't feel strongly on it. That's a fair comparison.
Yeah, I mean, they're both big-bodied. We anticipated them being a little slower. I will say that Prize Pick had Audric Estime's line at 4.52, and they had Braylon Allen's at like 4.44, which was taken over on both of those.
Yeah.
Well, it originally started at 4.4 flat.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
They saw that picture of him in the weight room with a 17-year-old, and they're like, yeah, 4.4.
Yeah. I wanted to see his
some
10-yard
of the times
split.
on there were crazy.
Yeah,
So.
we covered that in our little joint film study thing. Like, I want to see Braylon Allen's 10-yard split because I think it's going to be out of this world. But I still think he's going to run like a 4.5 because the long speed isn't there.
Nope.
So, I don't know. It stinks because you want a day 2 running back because the day 2 running back just has a little more security to them. Like, they have buy-in from their team. Second round is the new first round for running backs other than this last year's class. Estimate's not getting that. It's probably not getting third round. If he gets fourth round, I'm still in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like any more fourth round, like you're going to have value as a running back, even if it's just like a 1-year thing. Like, I think Dameon Pierce was fourth round, right? Or did he go fifth?
He went fourth.
He was fourth round. Yeah. So, I mean, I think like at worst, like you can at least still have some value there going round 4, but it gets dicey after that.
He goes
also just look at the systems that they're going to figure out the running backs that are in there. I mean, if he has a backfield that he can easily be round or first down, second down type of running back, like he has hope. He has life at that point. So just keep that in mind.
But now you can either like hope for draft capital or landing spot. Now we are only hoping for landing spot. Like we are laser focused, hoping that he goes to the Chargers. All right. That's good enough for me. Cool. And our last faller, my Texas Prince. I thought this was a 2-man race or not a 2-man race, like a 2-man relevancy. There's one guy that's going to win. One guy's clearly in second for tight end of the year. There's JT Sanders. And man, that was tough. That was tough. Like, did not get out of his acceleration well, did not run a good 40, and was a little smaller than everybody anticipated. And he had little pterodactyl arms or little T-Rex arms, which not great for catching the ball and not great for somebody that's touted as a size speed freak. I have a personal vendetta against players that are considered to be size speed freaks and then are smaller and slower than I thought they were. So, JJ, are you still in on JT Sanders at any point? Or
yeah, I still have him as my tight end 2 at this point. Like I'll go back and definitely rewatch it, but no, I still feel pretty confident that like him and Ben Sinnott are going to be kind of that tier 2 of tight ends that I'm going to want for fantasy. I'm not going to get too scared off of this. So no, I'm still in on JT Sanders, tight end 2. I think he's going to be a second round pick in tight end premium leagues, and I'm on board with that. So
yeah, love me some Ben Sinnott.
Yeah,
but anybody else have some fallers, or do we want to call it?
What about Dylan Johnson?
Yeah,
that one was tough. Like watching the run that Washington made, watching how much he just toughed everything out, seeing how he fought through injury. Like I was here just rooting for the kid. Like I wanted to see him succeed, and then he goes out and does what he did at the combine, which was uninspiring. Definitely wanted to see more from him. So yeah, I mean, especially at 6 foot 217-ish, I think, somewhere around there. You expected him to do a lot more, which watching the Washington games, I mean, you kind of figured that he wasn't going to be a burner. But coming in at the time that he did, definitely not something that I fully expected. Was expecting more in the high 4.5s, not high 4.6s. So
4.68, not for me. Injury history, not for me. Vertical jump, broad jump, lower quarter of players at his size, not for me.
Older running back,
not for me. Sounds like I will not be drafting a lot of Dylan Johnson this year, which is going to be really funny when we clip this after he goes off for 2,000 yards later. But
I mean, I liked him on the film. Like when I went just off of film grades, like I think I hit like my RB8, like when I just first went through, like not looking at any stats, like and just throwing on 3 random games. I think, yeah, he's like
just
RB8
vibes
for me. Yeah, just vibes to start off. I liked him there.
Yeah.
One last loser I had here. We don't need to spend a ton of time on it, but Spencer Rattler. So like, already kind of fighting to try and climb onto like that next tier backup quarterbacks, like worst 40 time, worst shuttle time, worst 3-cone time, worst broad jump of all quarterbacks. Like nobody thought he was going to go out there and look super athletic, but like, man, for a guy that's already labeled as inconsistent, like it's just like, were you even putting in work to prepare for any of this? Like, what was that? But so yeah, he was able to raise his stock a lot with a good combine, but like somehow I feel like he dropped his stock with the bad one because it was even worse than I thought it would be.
What's crazy? Top 3 quarterbacks didn't test. Most of the quarterbacks didn't even do any of the other stuff, and he still somehow found a way to look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, another important thing, like I like to follow. So I follow the like measurables with the skill position players, and then the narratives with the quarterbacks. Because normally you'll just hear buzz. They're like, "Oh, a lot of executives are in on Spencer Rattler," and then all of a sudden he throws a 5-yard hitch, and they're like, "That's what we're hoping to see." It's like, okay, that doesn't matter to me at all. But to see the way that he tested mixed with the lack of noise is deafening. So hopefully he ends up in a situation where he can be a good backup, learn from a quarterback, develop over time, and maybe take the reins to an organization as a bridge type player in 3 years, which not what I'm looking for in my fantasy teams.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's like a 1% chance that turns into like a Jordan Love, and Jordan Love was a first-round pick, and so it's not even a great comp in that.
Yeah, first-round pick with great tools.
Yeah,
went to a good system. Yeah, very different. But I think that covers all of our combine risers and fallers. Do you guys want to give one? Let's do one free agent shout out. So where do we think Calvin Ridley is going to go?
Ooh, that's the toughest one just because of the draft pick value attached to it there. I think they're going to ultimately let him walk. So I don't think they're going to give up a second rounder for him.
Reasonable. If they resign, you go.
Oh, well, I was going to say, if my understanding of that is correct, as long as he hits free agency, it turns to a third. It's only if they re-sign him that it goes to a second, which I think they very much get a backdoor deal done with him, saying, hey, we want you back, but we don't want to pay the second. And he hits free agency. And then on day 1, day 2 of free agency, he's back on the Jags.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then yeah, if that's the case, then I'd say Jags. But if they have it like written into the contract where they can't do that, then I'll say no.
Other thing with that I think is interesting, people are just kind of like throwing away that comp picks are a thing. So like if they have a player that leaves in free agency and signs for a big enough deal somewhere else, they can get a 3rd or 4th round pick next year out of it. So it's not just that you're also trading a pick, you're also losing a pick if you re-sign him. So I don't know. With a loaded wide receiver class, I could see him leaving.
Random question, and this is completely on the spot. Do you know if you trade for a player, can you get a comp pick for them still?
I will look that up while I ask you guys where you think.
I was going to say, I thought it was like baseball, where if you trade for him mid-season, they have to be on your roster when the season starts. I thought
that's a great question. I will double check while you guys tell me where Saquon Barkley goes.
I think he's going to Houston. He all but said that's where he wants to go. It sounds like CJ Stroud's been like trying to get him in the building, and like the last guy he did that for with Tank Dell, look how that turned out. Like, I don't know. I think that they're going to do everything they can to get Saquon into Houston.
Can I wishcast that he goes to the Chargers? The odds of it happening are like next to none because their salary cap situation is horrendous. But I just think that offense would be so much fun to see that happen. Mm-hmm. Herbert, Saquon, trade back, draft a Bowers on top of it. You still have some wide receivers there. You have offensive tackles that are actually going to be healthy this year, hopefully. Keep Herbert upright. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be one heck of a storyline, one heck of an offense, if that were to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be a good fit there. Let him go play that supercharged Eckler role, basically.
Right. Yeah. One running back to rule them all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. No, the reason I asked that question, I saw like a report today that was saying that like Minnesota might be interested in Trey Lance, which kind of got me back thinking, like, why did we even trade for him? Like, were we just wanting to try and get a comp pick? Like, we gave up a 4th to get like a comp pick and we let him go a few years later. Like, I was just trying to like why did we even do that? And like, why would somebody else want to do that after us?
A unrestricted free agent shall qualify as a comp free agent if the maximum possible term of the player's contract failed to expire solely as a result of the provision stating that specified contract year or year shall void years don't count for something. but it doesn't have any verbiage in here. I'm like trying to figure out if there's anything with trades involved, but the only verbiage in there is that you're allowed to trade comp picks. So if there's someone smarter than me out there that can find the answer to this, please drop it in the comment section below. Otherwise, I think we have talked too much about comp pick formulas for one lifetime. But JJ, thanks so much for coming on the show, brother. I hope you had a blast because we did.
Anytime.
One more time. Dude, tell people where to find you. Tell them what you're working on. Give them some love.
Yes, absolutely. Dino NFL at Twitter. Everything I do, I'll tweet out through there. Over at Fantasy Six Pack, I do all of our Dynasty stuff there. In the mix right now, I'm kind of working on a trade calculator. I've gotten to the point where I like the order that the players are coming out in when I put it on my variables, but like the values aren't adding up to make trades. So I'm just kind of trying to fine tune that last little bit there. But hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll have a sweet little Dynasty trade calculator chart for the site. So that's kind of the big thing I'm working on right now. And other than that, every Monday I do my Dynasty show. If you just subscribe or like the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube page every Monday, that's on there. Usually we go live with that. But yeah, just you'll see me more and more the closer to April we get. That's for sure.
Nice. Thanks again for coming on the show. Evan, you want to say bye to everybody?
Well, staying awake these days a lot, not sleeping.
Yes. Nice.
It works great with some W to keep you going. And if you're just going to be grinding film, just have some W by your side, be able to energize you, and you can get another whole 2 games in, be able to get it down, get some film study in, have a good time, support the pod.
Heck yeah. Use code FFRPG at checkout for a little % off. One of these days, we'll get Evan a better camera so you can see his beautiful face a little more. JJ, thanks for coming on the show. Everybody, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. It means a lot to you, but it means a lot to us. Goodbye.